Actors. We can
Bo, bo, bo. Ah. Are we on? Are we on? Hello, Mr. DJM. Can you give me a shout if you can hear me now? I think so. I don't know what happened there, but we had no volume from the microphone for a moment there. Maybe the socket at the bottom's getting a bit dodgy these days. I don't know. But can we get a shout out, please, to the microphone? Is the microphone working? Is the microphone working? Yay! We're on. We're on. I don't know what happened there. I've got these little displays that tell me when the microphone's going up and down, and it wasn't going up and down. So anyway, it's cured now. I'm a little bit too close to it actually. It's going into the red. Hello everyone. I'll start that again. I'll just rewind. I'll tell you what, you want to rewind because 10 minutes ago I took all my clothes off on YouTube. I did, yeah, honestly. Yeah, because no one was here, so I went, that's it, I'm done. No, not really. Don't rewind it because it didn't actually happen. Right, hello everyone and welcome back to the stream with me and Mr. TB the Bear. Everyone's favourite bear. Look at him, look at him, look at him. Lewis Hamilton fan club extraordinaire. Yes, yes. Everyone loves TB, don't we? Yes, TB. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Who would have thought at 56 years old I'd be sitting here kissing a bear on YouTube live? I certainly didn't have that on my bingo card. Hello everyone. Right, Mr. DJM99. Hello, sir. Hang on, I've gone all itchy. Why am I off to the left? What's going on here? What's going on? Why am I off to the left? That's not right, is it? I should be in the middle. Come on, sort it out, Dave. Put it in the middle. In the middle. In the middle. Is that the middle? That's too far to the right now. This is like me trying to do the camera settings on the F1 games. Left a bit. No, right a bit. Left a bit. That'll do. That'll do. I don't know why I was so far off to the left there. Anyway, right, let's get on with it. Hi Dave, a question for you. When I'm watching your videos, I no longer get ads. Just a bit concerned as it's part of your income. I get the odd one here and there from time to time on other sites. Ah, right. If it's one of my latest videos, like the All Seasons, you may have noticed that YouTube has got this ad apocalypse where they basically shove an advert in every 30 seconds. And I find it very, very annoying. Not only as a creator, but as a viewer, because I also watch YouTube as well, quite a lot in fact. So I'm a viewer as well as a creator. And I find those adverts, even if they're just 5-second adverts, very bloody annoying. So if it's one of my later videos, like say last week's All Seasons, here's what I do. For the first 10 minutes of the video, apart from when the video starts, you get a video at the start, but that's controlled by YouTube. There's nothing I can do about that. But as soon as the video starts proper, there are no ad breaks for the first 10 minutes of the video. Because looking at my engagement, it's really the first 10 minutes that gets people to watch. So there's no advert break in the first 10 minutes of my video. Then I usually put, if it's like a half an hour video, there's usually 1, 2 or 3 advert breaks spread out within about 3, 4, 5 minute chunks until the end. And I've been doing that for ages because if you let YouTube do it, there's at least 8 advert breaks per All Seasons video. There's about 8 advert breaks, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And at the moment I'm going through one of the Tomb Raider games and I keep going back to YouTube because there's a guide on it, so I keep going back to YouTube, and as soon as I press on it, it comes up and says, oh, longer ad break for fewer breaks in this video. And I've literally just clicked on the video and there's a 60-second ad break, and I'm like, that's so infuriating because all I want to do is find out what I've got to do next, and it's just annoying. So yeah, so that's what I do. For the first 10 minutes there's no advert breaks, and then there's 3. Now if you're not seeing any at all, that is quite worrying, so I will have a look and investigate that. Yes, that's a bit worrying. If it's on live stuff, there should be advert breaks running through this. I've just pressed the monetization button, but I don't know whether they come up or not because I can never see them myself. And also, if I'm doing the league racing on a Monday night, there's no advert breaks in that, because the reason for that is because I start streaming on the PlayStation 5, which is downstairs, and to actually monetize the live streams, I have to actually do it on my computer, so I never bother. There's no point in monetizing those ERL races anyway, to be honest, so I don't bother. So there won't be any advert breaks running through the ERL races anyway, because I say there's no point, and I just can't be asked to get out of the chair and walk up the stairs and put them on. No, so I don't bother with that. Anything that I broadcast from the PS5, I usually don't bother. Sometimes afterwards I'll put them in if it's quite a good stream or whatever, but mostly I don't bother. But I will investigate that. I'll say they should be on. But if you're getting less ads, then that's deliberate. That's me doing that myself, because I just think that 8 advert breaks in a video is redonkulous, absolutely ridiculous. And the amount of times I click off the video because an ad comes up and I'm like, I can't be bothered. I did exactly the same thing last night, and I was really getting into this video, and then it came up and it said 60-second advert break, and I went, I just can't. So I clicked off it. So I can't even remember what the video was now, but whatever it was, I apologise. But it's not my fault, it's YouTube's fault, because they're just ramming adverts down your throat like no one's business. So there you go. 2 weeks ago, I was cursing as I was being bombarded with ads every 3 minutes or so. I don't use an ad blocker. Yes. Now, the other thing about ads on YouTube is they go through stages. So when it's a really busy time like Easter, you will get tons and tons of ad breaks. When it calms down a bit, like at the moment we're in June, there's the advertising isn't really out there at the moment, so it does tend to slow down in June. You'll probably notice if you're watching YouTube videos that a lot of them are just 5-second advert breaks, because the advertising revenue during June is not at its peak, so they only put like 5-second ads in. But during busy times, Easter, Christmas, Hanukkah, all those kind of religious festivals, anything like that, they will just ram in advert breaks willy-nilly, because obviously, you know, it's a popular time. There's more people on YouTube, so obviously, you know, that's more revenue for YouTube themselves, so they're ramming full of adverts. At the moment it's June, it's pretty dead, there's not a lot happening, so they do reduce the adverts. So they come in waves, unfortunately. Sometimes you'll get loads of them. Christmas time is an absolute nightmare, obviously, and Easter, but the rest of the time it's bearable. But I still say too many ads. YouTube for last couple of years now has really gone overboard on ads. Now the reason for that was probably because there's a huge country which I'm not allowed to name, but you'll know exactly the country I'm talking about, that currently still, as far as I know, has YouTube banned. And there is a lot of people in that said country who can't watch YouTube, and because of that, that means no ad revenue is going to YouTube from this certain country. So that is why, unfortunately, we all have to suffer with lots and lots more advert breaks, because they're trying to make up the shortfall that they've got for the past couple of years now, because, as I say, YouTube is banned, as far as I know, still in this other country. And in fact, a lot of the people from this country's YouTube channel, it's ridiculous, I know, but I can't say it. I'm sorry, I can't say. I get big messages on my YouTube all the time saying you can't say this. So lots of the YouTubers that used to be from this country have actually given up, because it's just too much of a hassle to. They tried virtual private networks to try and get their videos out, but the trouble with that is it's not recognised by YouTube, so YouTube aren't going to push their videos out, so they weren't getting the views, and most of them have basically given up. So there you go. So that's the knock-on effect of why we now get loads and loads and loads of adverts. It's to make up the shortfall from a country that currently at the moment still has YouTube banned, and I can't see that decision getting reversed for a very, very long time, or unless something happens. Hello, Mr. Pleinel Plessy. Walter Street. He says, congratulations to Oscar Piastri on winning the Canadian Grand Prix. I can hear you. We're on. I can hear you. Thank you very much for that, because I was a little bit worried. Now, Canadian Grand Prix. Segue into what I've put at the start of this video. I've got it laced up somewhere. Here we go. Here we go. Yes, everyone, I can confirm that Lance Stroll will be back behind the wheel at the upcoming Canadian Grand Prix. Yes. Here it is, official from Formula One. No, I don't want your cookies, but I'll accept them anyway. Excuse me. Aston Martin have confirmed that Lance Stroll will be back behind the wheel at the upcoming Canadian Grand Prix weekend, following his withdrawal from the previous race in Spain. The Silverstone-based squad announced a few hours after qualifying at the Circuit de Barcelona Catalunya that Stroll will be sitting out Sunday's Grand Prix, with the 26-year-old set to undergo a medical procedure after experiencing pain in his hand and wrist. The team went on to say that Stroll's medical consultant believed the pain the driver was experiencing was in relation to the procedure he underwent in 2023. Stroll sustained fractures and a broken toe after a cycling accident during the 2023 pre-season, which led him to undergoing surgery followed by a process of rehabilitation. However, after his latest procedure, Stroll will be back driving the AMR 25 in front of his home crowd in Montreal, less than a fortnight on from that weekend in Spain. I'm excited to get back behind the wheel with the team for my home Grand Prix this weekend, Stroll said. I was always going to fight hard to be ready to race in front of the Montreal crowd. I'm feeling good after my procedure and put some laps in at the Paul Ricard this week to prepare. Thanks for all the support. See you guys this weekend. So there it is, and there's the tweet from Aston Martin saying that yes, Lance Stroll is back. Now let's put this into perspective, okay? Lance Stroll works for Aston Martin, and Aston Martin have probably, you know, some of the greatest medical personnel on call to get this sort of thing done. Us poor saps in the UK with the NHS. We certainly, probably, whatever Lance has had done, we certainly wouldn't be able to resume our normal lives that quickly. And not only resume his normal life, but getting back into a Formula One car, don't forget, and being barricaded by 7Gs at 200 miles an hour. But of course, as I say, you know, best doctors in the world. And so they've certainly given him a lot of pills and some vodka and got it. No, that's just a joke. Obviously, they've sorted him out and away he goes for the Canadian Grand Prix. Yes, his home Grand Prix. Great to see. Now that gives his two supporters something to cheer for. I'm serious. No, I'm serious. Even the Canadians don't like Lance Stroll. Really? I'm serious. I'm really. Right. Go back to the chat, and I've just completely messed up my camera. What are you doing, Dave? Right, there we go. Get Jack Villeneuve on this all season's rubbish. Yeah, okay, cheers, Dave. Great not having ads, but don't want you losing out. Thank you very much. Yeah, I will investigate though, because as I say, they should be running. Unfortunately, when you watch your own videos, sometimes you don't get the ads because, you know, because it's your own video. It's quite complicated the way YouTube works. A lot of people think also that if they keep watching their own videos over and over again, they'll get tons and tons of views. But YouTube doesn't let you do that, because after about 3 or 4, 5, 6 of the same views, they stop being counted. Yes, because they class it as spam, and the YouTube filter recognises that it's spam, and then it no longer counts any of the views. So if you're trying to help someone one day and get tons and tons of views, it doesn't usually work. It's okay if you do it from different locations, like if you watch it from your TV and then watch it on your phone and then you watch it on your tablet, those views will count. But if you're watching it all in the same place, I say after about half a dozen, YouTube just said no, that's spam and we won't include any more views. So that's how they do it. Hello, Mr. Regala, welcome to the stream. He says, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. I have no idea what that is in reference to, but I'll just go with it. I'll just go with it. Yes. Now, before I continue, I have to first say we have had a little bit of a tragedy today in the world, and I'd like to wish my condolences to the families of the Air India plane which has come down on its way to London's Gatwick Airport, I do believe. But upon saying that, miracle upon miracle, it sounds like, or it has been actually confirmed, that one person has survived that crash. God knows how, but one person has survived that plane crash. It's bittersweet because apparently his brother was also on the plane and it looks like he didn't make it. But, oh my God. I mean, there's nothing left of this plane. It's just a charred mess, and yet he looks like he's walked away from it. So, you know, if you believe in a man upstairs, they were certainly smiling on him today, because that's just unbelievable. And yes, I know he's lost his brother, and that's tragic, and that will obviously the whole experience will stay with him for the rest of his life. I mean, imagine not only losing your brother, but the only survivor of a plane crash. It's just doesn't worth thinking about, does it? It actually sounds like one of those movies, doesn't it? That one with Bruce Willis in. I can't remember the name of it, but you know the one I mean, where he was a superhero, wasn't he? And he didn't realise it. That's what it sounds like. It's because it just sounds incredible that one person could walk away from that, but it looks like he has. And I was watching earlier pictures of him on Sky News, and it just looked like he had a few cuts and bruises, and that was it. Amazing. No doubt soon the conspiracy theorists will start going on about, oh, he's not real, he's an alien from the planet Zog or whatever. Yeah. Good luck with that. But, yeah. Absolutely amazing. But anyway, I'd just like to say my condolences to the families of everyone affected by that Air India plane crash which just happened today, unfortunately. Yeah, but I like watching you back hundreds of times. That's okay, you can do it. You can. There's no rules to say you can't watch me hundreds of times. That's fine. I don't mind. Mr. Regal says, rest in peace to the 241 people who were unalived in that accident, by the way. Yes, absolutely. As I say, I add my sentiment and say, yes, my condolences to everyone. But as I say, I'm still just really in shock that that guy walked away from that. It's just unbelievable, isn't it? I mean, if you just think of the circumstances that would have allowed that to happen, you know, the plane is crashing. I mean, we've all seen it in the movies when planes crash and the devastating effects of a plane crash. To be fair, when they do it in the movies, it is pretty realistic how it happens, because you know they do a lot of research, and we know obviously tragically, because planes crash, how it does happen. So it does, and so when a plane crashes, it just literally disintegrates. So this guy was probably sitting in his seat with the plane disintegrating around his ears, you know, probably looking to the left and right as people are literally dying next to him, and the plane probably come to a shuddering halt, and he was still alive. It's just crazy, isn't it, to think about? Just really, really crazy to think about. But you know, obviously, it does happen. It is very rare. Usually, a crash like that, there's no survivors, but it does happen. And there it is. There it is. But yeah, just goes to show it's a funny old world. It really is a funny old world. And that just sort of puts it into perspective. Yes, Dave, terrible news. My thoughts are with all those involved. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Right, let's get back to what else I had on my... Oh, yes, Lewis Hamilton. Get some relief. Here it is, everyone. Lewis Hamilton admits relief at discovering Ferrari car issue massively hindered his Spanish Grand Prix performance. I'm going to say it again, everyone. You know I'm going to say it again. It's not me. It's the car. Ah, Lulu. Lulu. Lewis Hamilton endured a disappointing Spanish Grand Prix as he dropped backwards during the race to finish 6th. Not only that, he was passed by, of course, the Green Hornet himself. Yes. Oh my God. A kick Sauber he was passed by. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? Lewis Hamilton has admitted it was a relief to discover after his poor performance at the Spanish Grand Prix that he had been massively hindered by a technical issue with his Ferrari. Hamilton started from 5th on the grid in Barcelona and moved up to 4th on the first lap, but then struggled badly for pace as he took the checkered flag in 6th, having been ordered to let through teammate Charles Leclerc, who finished 3rd. The 7-time world champion cut a despondent figure during his post-race interviews as he suggested the lack of pace was down to his driving rather than the car. But Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur later said that Hamilton had been impacted by an issue with his SF25. Speaking on Thursday ahead of this weekend's Canadian Grand Prix, Hamilton explained the situation as he also appeared to criticise Ferrari for preventing him and Leclerc from openly discussing issues with the car. Hamilton said, "Unfortunately, the team don't really want us to talk about it, but we both had issues that were hindering us massively from halfway through the race. I didn't know if we had that problem, but I said on the radio that it was the worst feeling the car had ever had. It truly was. At the end of the race, I was like, I've never experienced something this bad for such a prolonged time through a race." It wasn't until after the TV interviews when I got back to the engineers that I found out there was an issue, so it was a bit of a relief to hear that because it definitely didn't feel so terrible afterwards. Hamilton has endured a hugely underwhelming start to his debut campaign with Ferrari, failing to score a Grand Prix podium in his first opening 9 races in red, with his biggest success to date being a sprint victory at the second round of the season in China. While the SF25 has undoubtedly performed below expectations for a team that entered the season with championship aspirations, really? No, I didn't see that. I didn't see that. Not championship aspirations. I mean, they said that at the start of 22, and then I have to say, I think they did have a good chance of winning the championship because lots of other teams were struggling with the infamous porpoising. If anyone remembers that, porpoising. Yes. Hamilton in the Mercedes was terrible, wasn't he, with the porpoising. Lots of other teams were as well, but Ferrari were doing very well at the start of the 22 season. But for this season, I really wouldn't have put money on them being in the championship winning position. Hamilton has struggled in comparison with Leclerc, who has claimed 3 podium finishes. Despite that, the Brit insisted that he is not in desperate need of a strong result this weekend at a circuit where he's claimed 7 victories, including his first in Formula 1. Hamilton said, "I don't feel that I'm searching. Of course, a good weekend is always a good thing, but I don't feel like I'm in a desperate need of one. I think it looks a lot worse outside than it probably is on the inside. Even just coming from engineering now, how they set the car up compared to any other year that I've been in here is completely different. Having discussions with engineers to change things, there's a certain way they like to work. And I say, hold on a second, That doesn't actually make sense. This is what I've done for the last 18 years here, and it's worked in a lot of them. Getting these things consistently, working with the team and making sure you're working in a constructive way to make changes to the car very much has a real sweet spot, and we're trying to get it working at all the tracks which everyone's having to struggle with. I'm hoping this weekend can be strong. So there you go. It wasn't Lulu's fault in the last round that he got passed by a kick me up the arse elbow. It was the car. Oh, Lulu. Oh, Lulu. You are a classic. You really are. Wasn't me, mate. It was the car. It was the car. Anyway, underneath we've got the Canadian Grand Prix schedule. So Friday, that's tomorrow, we've got the F1 Academy practice race. At 6 p.m. we've got practice 1. And then 9:30 it's practice 2. Saturday the practice 3 is at 5:15. Canadian Grand Prix qualifying on Saturdays at 9 p.m. Of course that's Canadian time, isn't it? Yes. Goodness gracious. And the race on Sunday is on at 7 p.m. So unfortunately if we're in the UK and we're only watching it on highlights, that means they'll be on about 1 o'clock in the morning, which means another very late night for Dave because I have to watch the race so I can make the video on it on the Monday. But there you go. It's not really that late. I'm still usually about at that time, so that's not really, but it's just, yeah. So that'll be about 1:30 in the morning when they show that on English TV. So there you go. There you go. That's what's happening in the wonderful world of F1 right now. Hello, Mr. Paddock69. He says, sorry I'm late. No, I'm sorry. I'm not going to accept your excuses. No, not going to accept your excuses for being late. It's not acceptable. It's not acceptable. If you're a fully paid up member of the F1 Games PlayStation fan club, I think I expect you to be on time, young man. Mr. Planner says, this doesn't change the fact that Lewis Hamilton and the Ferrari was overtaken by Nico Hulkenberg in the Sauber. Yes, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. But, you know, as long as Lewis can come up with enough excuses why he's really shit now, then that's going to be great for Lewis, isn't it? But I don't think it's the car, Lewis. I'm sorry, I don't think it is. Anyway. Hello, Mr. Champ92. Welcome to the stream. He says, oh, it's that time of the year again which Ferrari talks about leaving Formula 1. Yeah, how many times have they done that now? How many times have Ferrari said we're leaving Formula 1? Yes, quite a few. Quite a few times. I mean, imagine if they did. Their sort of standing within the world would just disappear, wouldn't it, really? Because, you know, let's put it this way. Not many people buy Ferrari cars, do they? They are basically for the rich and shameless, you know. They don't do a budget Ferrari car that the man in the street can buy, do they? Let's face it, you know. Ferrari don't do the equivalent of a Ford Fiesta, do they? Let's face it, they do not. So, you know, they are for the rich and shameless. So, yeah. Very strange, very strange. Gosh, I'm so tired of this, yeah. I have seen their yapping for 6 years. I know it inside out. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Any move they're about to pull out at this point is borderline depressive. Fred's days are numbered. It could be. Could be. Could be. Could be. Kentucky Fred's chicken. That's how it is. That Ferrari isn't great to begin with, says Paddock69. No, it sure isn't. It sure isn't. It's a good car. Nothing wrong with it. You know, it's beating cars behind it, so it's a good car. But it's not a great car. It's certainly not a championship-winning car. It's where is it? It's sort of in the championship. it's a 5th and 6th place car, isn't it? Really, that's what it is. You've got the 2 McLarens. You've then got 1 Red Bull, because no one else can drive the car. You've got 1 Red Bull, and then you've got it's sort of a mix, isn't it, between the Mercedes and the Ferraris, whoever does best on the day. So yeah, it's a 5th and 6th place finisher, isn't it, at the moment, the Ferrari? So it's certainly not a front runner. I mean, it goes behind Max Verstappen, so it's not as good as a Red Bull. Obviously, that's because Max is driving it, but it's worse than a Red Bull. And Red Bull are definitely not championship contenders this year. That is obvious. Even Max, after the last Grand Prix, admitted that. He says we're just not quick enough this year. We're not quick enough. So that's not going to happen this year for Max. I can't, unless McLaren absolutely cock it up, which is always possible because it's McLaren. If they're going to trip over their dick, they will trip over their dick. But unless they do something monumentally stupid, I can't see Max catching up now, to be honest. I think it's game over. And I think Max Verstappen will be 3rd place runner-up at the end of the season. And I think Oscar's Pastry will be the championship winner. And Lando will probably be in 2nd place. And then, of course, you'll have a toss-up then between the Mercedes drivers or the Ferrari drivers, whoever's good on the day. Because I say Mercedes and Ferrari, they're pretty much in the mix every race weekend, aren't they? So it's not really sure who comes out on top. Sometimes Mercedes do, sometimes Ferrari do. So they're definitely 5th or 6th place runners in the championship at the moment. They have had all their budget over all these years and all the time in the world, yet look what they have done with it. Yep. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I know they've got a huge budget. They try and take on the best drivers. I still say that Lewis Hamilton wasn't the greatest choice, to be honest. If I was Ferrari, I wouldn't have taken on Lulu. Just too much of a risk these days, and we can clearly see it during the races that it's playing out to be too much of a risk to have Lulu in the team. It's just, yeah. All right, Lulu's come up with something in his head to explain the last Grand Prix. So in his mind now, he's a bit happier. So he'll be going to Canada now, with his slightly happy face on and going, oh, well, yeah, it wasn't me, it was the car. But what happens in Canada if he doesn't do well again? Or what happens if he gets passed again by a kick me up the arse Sauber? Oh my God. Then what's he going to say? You see, it's all very well when you're in trouble and then you find out that, it might have been a problem with the car. It's all very well, and then you go, oh, that's it then. It wasn't me, it was the car. But you're putting yourself in a very sticky position, because that now means that in Canada, what happens if he doesn't do well again? And it wasn't the car. See, it's all very, very messy. It's messy for the team at Ferrari. It's messy for Lewis psychologically in his head as well. It's a mess, a complete mess. And I really think at the end of this season, Lewis is really going to regret ever joining the red team. It really is. Yeah. I mean, when will they understand that in order to be competitive and to win is to work? Yep. Actually saw highlights of the win on Thursday at the next race. Some legend or the other did their first race on Tuesday, I meant. Paddock69 says, I'm only here because you pay for my viewership. That's true. I do. Lewis will say we have an amazing crowd. Ferrari is not bigger than the sport itself, to be honest. No, that's true. Hello, Mr. Helium Trevor. Welcome to the stream. He says Le Mans week for me. Is it Le Mans? Is it Le Mans? I must take a note of that. Let me get me pen and piece of paper. I'm going to write that down, otherwise I'm going to forget. And I shall look on my TV guide to see whether there's any place I can watch it for free. I will see. Hopefully. I will have to see if I can find it on my laptop, which I don't really like, to be honest. I prefer to watch it on the TV, if possible. If possible. I am also a Ferrari fan, but at times it's a shame to support them for reasons as them. Yeah, I can understand that. I can understand that. We've got a McLaren fan in the chat, and you know it's heartbreaking when when things go wrong for McLaren. It really is heartbreaking. Really is. At some point, I may have felt as though they were, but to be honest, I don't think Ferrari are far off. As race fans first, I want to see a competition and make the better team win. For me, it's fine if Ferrari can't win. I'm happier for them finishing in second or third when they are like that, literally drive the cars. True? Very true. Ferrari will likely beat Red Bull by default though. Yeah, they probably will, because they've got two... God, I've got an itchy ear roll. Excuse me. Ferrari will possibly, because obviously they've got two cars in the mix, whereas Red Bull have only got one and a third. Because I don't know what's happening with the other one. No idea. It's like merry-go-round, isn't it? Merry-go-round. Overtake GG said that Formula 1 2001 and 2002 are bad. He is an embarrassment to the F1 community and must be disposed of immediately. Justice for 2001 and 2002. Wowzers. I'll read the rest of the comments then, and we'll have a little peruse at that. Charles's third place was a pure lucker, anyways, because Red Bull have been so incompetent and dumb in Spain. Red Bull's second drivers have scored a point per race. Even Perez last year had over 6 per race. Yeah, that was a good decision getting rid of Perez, wasn't it? Good job, Red Bull. Good job. The only positive has been that recent upwards trend by Charles, but these upgrades have to work. And yes, the pit stops are blisteringly fast. The only positives. I think Ferrari seems to be slightly coming along from Bahrain onwards. It's on TNT Sports, so I can't watch it then because you have to pay for TNT Sports. Unless it's on my cable box, I'll have a look. Because I never look at the channels on my cable box. I can't be bothered. All I do is record stuff and watch it later. I never actually watch anything on the television like most people these days. But I might even have the channel. I don't know. The car has improved, but it isn't championship material. Get this straight. No Delulio delusions. Yes. Le Mans, that is. Thank you, Mr. Paddock69. Chances are there'll be a YouTube channel showing it. Yeah. Never has been a fan of the fastest team. So frustrated. Another itch, Dave. Are you allergic to TB? I think I am. Now, unfortunately, as it's June, it's allergy season. I used to get terrible hay fever. So bad that I used to get asthma attacks, even though I don't get asthma. But I used to get asthma attacks purely because my airwaves used to block up because of the grass pollen. And but over the years, your allergy level declines. And at the moment, the grass pollen doesn't really affect me. But the problem is, every other allergen does now. So when it goes to tree pollen, I don't know what it is, mold pollen, all those other ones which come before the grass and after the grass affect me. I get all of them. Not like sneezing or anything, but oh my God, itching and oh, it's terrible. I'm literally spending, in a couple of weeks when the grass pollen starts, I'll stop itching. And then I'll be okay because I don't get the grass pollen anymore. But as soon as the grass pollen finishes, then I'll start itching again. I'm literally itching from March until October with just a 6-week gap in between for the grass. It's ridiculous. Personally, I'd rather still be getting the grass pollen for 6 weeks. But there you go. That's the way life goes. The grid for Le Mans 24 this year: Cadillac 1-2, BMW 3-4, Porsche 5 and 6, and the first Ferrari on P7. They would go for the Le Mans hat-trick they won in the past two in 2023 and 2024. Panic69 says, allergic to women, Dave. No, I'm not. They're allergic to me. And the P499 has won all 3 races of the season so far. It could be due to the balance of performance that they've had behind now, but let's see how the race pace is going to be. On Tuesday, Verstappen is starting back at 1 like Steve McKnight. I couldn't cope with hay fever. Bad enough having piles. Oops, did I say that out loud? Oh, Mr. TGO, don't talk to me about hemorrhoids. Oh, I could go on all night, but I won't. I'll stop there because there are young people listening and they don't want to listen to an old man talking about hemorrhoids. But, oh my God. Oh my God. At some point in the future, we'll have to have a private chat because, oh my God. I can tell you a story that will make your ears curl up, but I'm not going to do it. Everyone who's watching, don't worry. Don't worry. That's not for a discussion on YouTube. But yes, we'll have to find a way to private message. Oh my. Anyway, let's continue. Watching the Carmen Jordan career mode makes me want to play F1 2016 again. I have psoriasis myself. Used to only be in the winter, but now it's all year for some reason. Yeah, it's horrible. It's horrible. Itching all the time. All the bloody time. Itching. And now the beard. My beard never used to itch. No, I could have it. Well, you've seen it from different stages of the year where I've got it like really long. Now, oh my God, it itches all the time. All the time, this bloody thing itches. It's very, very weird. Very, very weird. But there you go. The joys of getting older. So the Paddock 43 bots were right about you. Yes, they were right. They were right. Obviously, it was a wild guess for them, but yes, they were factually correct. Yes. Oh my God. Yeah, I could tell you some stories, but I won't. I'll just say I've had them since I was 16 years old, and it's been a very long and painful journey. And there's been some things along the way which will make you go, oh! Not going to discuss it. Not going to discuss it. Okay, that conversation's for another time. Right, what are we looking at? It was Overtake GG, wasn't it? Let's have a look at Overtake GG. Beep, beep, beep. Beep, beep, beep. Right, Mr. Paddock 43. Was it this one? EA Sports 4 years, one game. Was that the one you're on about? Or was it another one? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. I sent you a messenger. Oh, okay. Yeah, actually you did. Actually you did. Let me check it. I can't find it. I can't find it. Is that it? Trouble is, some of these links are just like the,
I want to build something iconic.
the long YouTube thing. I don't get. Oh, here it is.
You're gonna.
Here it is. Yeah, I say some of the links that you send me are just like the link. It hasn't got the picture, so unless I click on it, I don't know where it's from. Right, here we go. We got it. Is that ad? Yes, it is. Right, here we go. Here we go. Let's put a bit of volume on it. I wonder if I'll get ritually sacrificed for showing this from the... If you're watching Overtake GG, I am not trying to steal your views. I am merely redistributing this for criticism and public opinion. That's what they say. So... here we go. Should you miss the Sony F1 games era? Yes, we should. Yes, we should.
Some of you might not be old enough to remember this, but for about a decade, something like this is what most people would have encountered when playing Formula 1 video games. From 1996 right up until 2007, the PlayStation would become the leading platform for all things virtual Grand Prix racing. Amongst the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, and everything in between, we want to look back at the era of Formula 1 games on Sony's second flagship system, talk about the strengths and weaknesses of the publisher's very own series, and possibly point you to a few games we can still recommend in 2025. Let's get started. To understand how we went from this to this, we need to go way back to 1996. Bizarre Creations had been tasked with developing a Formula 1 game based on the 1995 World Championship. Said game would be published by Sony developer/publisher Psygnosis. At the time,
It's Psygnosis. Psygnosis, not Psygnosis. Thank you very much. Just thought I'd point that out.
many a publisher had tried to enter the market of officially licensed F1 video games, where micropros would dominate the PC market with their Grand Prix franchise. Sega had considered doing something similar to Psygnosis for the Saturn.
It's Psygnosis. Sorry. I'm getting bitter now.
Nintendo had their line of F1 experiments, developed by companies such as Human Entertainment or Paradigm, yet none of the console competitors would be able to match Sony's relevance or marketing, and that's without even considering the wave of unlicensed Grand Prix racers out there.
I guess someone up there pressed all the right buttons.
Formula 1 released as a bestseller, the inaugural F1 racing game for PlayStation, and it managed to function as the basis for an entire franchise. Right from the get-go, the brand would manage to find itself at the forefront of the system. Remember, this was released before Gran Turismo. It had essentially become the go-to realistic racing game for the system, at least for some time. While the first two games, developed by Bizarre Creations, would go on to become classics of their genre, 98, 99, and 2000 wouldn't turn out to be the superstars Sony might have hoped for.
I'll agree with you on that point. Yes. 98. Oh my God. My favourite game now of all time. Yes, I love 98. It's grown on me. Only because it's so rubbish, but yeah, I love it now. Then 99 came along. I had so much high expectations for Formula 1 99. It looked the part, and it was a new developer, Studio 33. And I thought, yes, finally. But playing it, it was a bit meh. It was alright, but the collision detection was absolutely horrible. Horrific, in fact. Absolutely horrific. So it was better basically just to not have any damage in it at all. And so, but it was just... It wasn't as good as 97, let's put it that way. And then 2000, I didn't like 2000 at all, to be honest. It was just a big pile of nothing. It really was. A big pile of nothing.
Most of the core aspects that people did enjoy about the PS1 games would be found on PS2 as well, even if the jump into the third place happened to be anything but easy for the new developers.
Excuse me a sec. Can I have a...
Oops. Advert. I'll be back in a second. Here we go. Sorry about that.
Studio Liverpool, formerly known as Psygnosis, would develop 6 games for the console, and while many might hold nostalgic memories regarding these titles, how am I gonna put this? Most of them weren't considered masterpieces at the time. Let's take the first one, for instance. Formula 1 2001 for PlayStation 2
Was a stone cold classic. He better not say anything else, otherwise he's in big trouble.
my first ever F1 console game. It features an incredible opening video beaming us back into the days of rave parties and pop-paloozas, setting the perfect scene for 2000s motorsport. But other than immense graphical improvements compared to the original PlayStation or Murray Walker himself promoting the game, there isn't too much to write home about. It's a fine racing game with average AI, less than average handling, questionable physics, and mildly frightening pictures. Furthermore, it had all the cars and stars of the current season, which was still a clear selling point and could only be matched by EA Sports. However, in terms of a racing game, it was bland at best.
That's sacrilege. Absolute sacrilege. Bland at best. Now, we'd all had the PlayStation 1 era of F1 games. So when this game came out, it was absolutely, I'm going to quote a Murrayism, it was absolutely sensational. Yes, admittedly, it had a few problems. There was a few bugs. One of them was that the tyre wear didn't work, so you could just basically run the whole race on the same tyres because they never wore out. Granted. But the whole overall look and feel of the game, and to me, the actual control of the cars was spot on. And there was also that super cheat where you could have traction control and ABS on the higher difficulty levels. I've shown it on my channel before. That just brought the game alive for me because, you know, it was just brilliant. So yeah, I don't believe that. When you're coming from the PS1 era of games with how the cars looked all boxy and everything, and then you look at something like this, it's a massive leap. In fact, I would say that F1 2001 was the best in terms of visuals of the whole of those Sony games, because I believe as they went through, they actually got worse graphically. So I think 2001 was the best.
And dysfunctional at worst. It was mid, as the kids might say.
No. I'm going to have words with this young man, I'll tell you.
Formula 1 and F1 97 hadn't encountered such troubles. They were considered great at the time and can still be considered as classics of their era.
Oh, look, outside line.
Wouldn't say the same for Formula 1 2001 or 2002 or 2003 or 2004. Some years the cars felt as if they were from an alien planet where rear traction was only a myth talked about in local folklore, whereas during other periods they stuck to the road like they'd been glued to the surface.
No, that, sir, is called you can't drive the bloody car and you don't put enough effort in. Sorry. Cars drove fine on the Sony games, absolutely fine. Yes, you needed to put the work in, you need to put the effort in, but there was nothing wrong with the driving on the Sony games.
Damage model wasn't detailed and lent itself to beating and banging with your erratic competitors. To be fair, that could come in rather handy if we're to consider their lack of consideration for your existence out on track. These titles could have been seen as solid arcade racers, even featuring such modes in the early PS2 days. For that to truly flourish, Formula 1 would have been a bit too boring, sedated, distant, generally not very outgoing in terms of presentation. Even now, in 2025, Grand Prix racing games manage to make themselves look more breathtaking, earth-shattering, adrenaline-pumping, especially compared to
No, I'm sorry. There's no heart. There's no soul in the modern Formula One game. This is heart and soul right here. Look at this. Look, absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. The graphics weren't awful back then, if just a bit rudimentary. Then again, competing with the high fidelity of Grand Prix 4 or F1 Challenge on PC was pretty much impossible, so your grid would occasionally look as though it had been built out of Hot Wheels cars instead of F1 beasts. Serviceable might be a nice way of putting it. EA Sports franchise had managed to look more Hollywood-esque, with the caveat of frame rates often plunging into the depths of stop motion and many other issues for that series.
Brits.
Yes, EA games were rubbish.
And yet, despite all the problems, there was some incredible
2004, yes, the GOAT. The GOAT 2004. Look at that. Yes, fantastic. Oh my god, I've got so many memories of 2004. The hardest career mode known to mankind. Yes, the hardest ever. Its difficulty curve is not classed in like modern Codemasters games terms as 0 to 110. No, its difficulty curve is 150, and that's how it starts, and it never gives up all the way through its career mode. It's stuck at 150. Balls to the floor difficulty. Oh my god.
Attention to detail to be found at Sony. Formula One had always provided fantastic immersion in terms of its TV graphics, for instance. Right from the get-go, these titles would try to get as close as possible to the TV broadcasts of the time. 2002's iteration would let you choose between the World Feed graphics, seen on ITV, or the Bernivision graphics, utilized for F1 Digital Plus, a precursor to what we now know as F1 TV Pro. Fans could even watch the AI race each other, customize the grids for such single-player races, or listen to commentary provided by
Tell you what, I really miss the customizable grids. That used to be such a great feature on the F1 games, where you could basically put your car, and also you could look at the real race stats of any race you wanted to do and see where you started in the car that you were driving, and you could put your car right there. So for the real race that was run, you could make your car in that position. It was just such a great idea, and I've no idea why you can't do that today. It's just such a great idea. Having to, putting yourself in the real life position. So say you're driving for a Sauber, or Mark Webber in his Menardi. Good day, Cobber. He'd be right down at 16th, and you could place yourself in that position for that race. It's just such a simple idea, and it obviously doesn't take much to implement either. You're just moving the cars around, aren't you, basically? And yet, Codemasters seem reluctant to even think about it. Crazy.
by Murray Walker, James Allen, Martin Brundle, or many other multi-language commentators.
Yeah, that's the other thing that's missing. Commentary. That's what we miss about the old F1 games. Having the commentators. Yeah, okay, so the real life drivers can't hear the commentary. But it was just such a great thing to have. Now all you've got is Mark Priestley banging on in your ear hole about, oh, well, it looks like we've got a sensor fault because it's showing that all our tyre pressures are at 0. Providing your tyres still look inflated, we'll say it's a sensor fault and carry on. That's all he bangs on about every time I'm playing the bloody F1 game. Oh my God. Really? That's what we want. We want the real commentators saying things as we go along. We want sound bites that only turn up 6 months after you've been playing the game and you suddenly go, what? They give you a new piece of audio that you've never heard before. That's what we need. We don't need all this repeat of podium celebrations, which has been the same thing for the past, 6, 7, 8 years now. Oh my God.
In der underste Berührung mit Enrico Bernoldi.
Sure, this probably didn't save the games outright, but it was a cool feature and surely beloved by nerds like me. Some releases would feature little extras like being able to unlock a safety car in F1 2002, or introducing classic cars in 2004. 2001 and 2002 were released with season review DVDs of the previous year's championships. Other titles might have provided better racing or more spectacle or straight up Hollywood bonanza, yet none of them could copy the yearly release schedule, contemporary appeal, or Formula One atmosphere of this specific franchise. And in 2005, things finally went from questionable to good, actually.
Formel 1 2005, das Spiel der Profis, Originalstrecken, alle Teams, echter Speed. Jetzt neu, nur auf PlayStation 2.
We had stumbled into the era of R Factor 1, Live for Speed, F1 Challenge, and, of course, Gran Turismo 4. Spectacular racing adventures pushing the boundaries of what was possible on both PC and PlayStation 2. Sony had acquired the exclusive F1 license in the meantime, so compared to previous seasons, competition was nowhere to be found. If you wanted to play an official Formula 1 game with all the current tracks, teams, and drivers, PlayStation 2 had become your only option. 05 saw a massive overhaul in terms of handling. Where titles had usually flip-flopped between Mario Kart drifting and ground effect levels of downforce, 2005 seemed to have hit the sweet spot. Driver aids were finally helpful for those unable to tame the V10 monsters of the mid-2000s. This is how I was able to enjoy the games as a kid, for instance. AI had improved not to hit you as much, and the career mode introduced in 2004 had been carried over to add to the immersion of being a proper Formula 1 racing driver.
He did forget to mention, though, that unfortunately F105 was incredibly easy, and you could basically win a season in a Minardi. Yes, because that's how easy it was. And if you turned all the driver aids on, it's like a Scalextrics track. You might just sit there and steer it, and that was all you had to do. So that was a problem for F105, unfortunately.
Detroit would even make an appearance in-game, only available to those who'd managed to get gold medals on all 19 F1 circuits in time trial mode.
I never managed that. I did try, but I think I only got about half a dozen. It's very, very difficult, and you can't make one mistake. One tiny little mistake and you fail. It's like the Gran Turismo tests. It's really, really difficult.
To be fair, the game had become incredibly easy, even when you found yourself in an underpowered car, but the basis had
he did mention that it was easy. Well done.
been built. 2006 would continue this trend by improving the AI's performance, adding more classic cars, tweaking career mode, and drastically improving the level of detail for the damage model. TV graphics had made another leap with
2006 was, I've mentioned it before, the pinnacle of the PS2 era. A lot of people forget about it because unfortunately Championship Edition came out, and so it gets swept under the carpet. But that last game in the PS2 era is beautiful, really beautiful. The only problem was, as you can see on the right hand side here, this was the head-up display. If you compare that to 05, which is a glorious round dial, it was beautiful. And then we got this, but the developers did explain it was because there was extra cars on that had to be drawn for 2006 because you had the new teams come in, didn't you? And so they had to slightly downgrade the graphics. So unfortunately, that beautiful HUD display had to disappear. It's such a shame. It did return though because they had the graphical power in F1 Championship Edition, but for F106 on the PS2, unfortunately, it had to be downgraded into this, which was, it was a little bit generic and rubbish, to be fair. But it's a shame. But the actual game itself, I still say, holds up today. The AI are absolutely brilliant. They really are. Compared to F105, they are really a step up, and it's just a great game. The 5-year career mode, I would say, I mean, Jesus, I can't remember how many career modes I've done over the years. A lot. But I would say the 5-year career mode on this game, on the PS2, was quite possibly one of my most enjoyable career modes that I've ever done. Really. It was just so much fun. Some of that may have been the fact that I didn't have a PS3 at the time, so I had to continue. I had to play this for a hell of a lot longer than I needed to, because I'll say the PS3 was very expensive. So that might be some of the reason. But it was just a great game, really was. As I say, the last in the PS2 era as well. So it's got that nostalgia vibe as well. But there was a lot of improvements they did over F105 in F106. As you just mentioned there, the damage model was a lot better. You actually saw tyres puncture and they started to come off the rims, which was something you hadn't really seen at all in the earlier Sony games. They started to get punctures, I do believe, from I think F1 03, maybe 04 onwards, but it was just literally the tyre would just sort of deflate, and that was all you saw really. But this, you'd actually see the tyre come off the rim at times if it was a really bad puncture. So yeah.
The on-track product getting ever closer to ITV, RTL, or RAI. Add to that the car evolution feature, helping out new players in setting up their car for any given race day. Only the AI still managed to disappoint, and if we're to believe recent reviews of the series, they actually got worse compared to 2005.
No, I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that, because the AI were too easy in 05, so, you know, no, I don't agree with that at all. If you just put the time and effort in, you'd find out that the AI were absolutely fine.
Frustrating, though not a deal breaker if adjusted for in the options menu.
For the sake of
Admittedly, many might still feel as though the series would have been a bit bland. Driver transfers or My Team careers would have seemed unthinkable at the time. Other racing game franchises such as NASCAR had made far greater steps, providing an in-depth single-player experience on and off track, including rivalries or team-building features. Career modes in F1 04, 05, and 06 are dull and repetitive if compared.
No, this guy don't know what he's talking about. F104, as I say, the hardest game in the world, so yeah, the career mode is very, very bad. And F105, unfortunately, because it's very easy, so the career mode gets very, very boring. But F106, no. No.
Compared directly to the beloved NASCAR shenanigans.
Especially if you compare it with NASCAR. I mean, are you serious?
Add to that the aforementioned lack of visual excitement, and your franchise might not sound particularly appealing, even to hardcore F1 fans. To quote Keith Collantine's perspective in his F105 review for racefans.net, F1 2005 provides only a short-term fix for the F1 junkie. Even with bonus cars to unlock, there is only really enough going on in this game to keep you interested for a couple of weeks. If the career mode were spread across a couple of seasons, as in the popular F1 Challenge, it might help, but the game's fundamentals are all, let's see, unrealistic tracks, dodgy physics, and a wholly unrealistic sense of speed. Oh, okay. Funnily enough, other outlets such as Eurogamer consider the game's simulation almost too excessive and too detailed, leaving casual players out of the loop. Only goes to show the tightrope that Studio Liverpool would have had to walk. Still, as much as people were looking forward to Codemasters F1 debut in 2009 and 2010, many probably would have felt disappointed when the new kid on the block wasn't able to pick up where Studio Liverpool had left off. TV graphics, live commentary, classic cars, testing, interactive pit stops, podium celebrations, detailed wheel damage, formation laps. None of these aspects would feature in F1 2010.
That's true. That is very true.
Most of them wouldn't be part of the new franchise until years later. And while EA will boast about how many hours of dialogue they've been able to record for F1 25, there still isn't any live commentary during the race.
Nope.
Not to say that I demand such features be added, but it goes to show that while the Sony games did have their weaknesses, trust me, they had their weaknesses, they weren't cheap or devoid of a soul, no matter how contradictory that soul might have been. After F1 Championship Edition had been released for PlayStation 3, there were gonna be no more Grand Prix games developed under the roof of Sony. They probably couldn't benefit off of what we now know as SimK today, seeing as they weren't realistic enough to thrive as a simulator, yet struggled to thrive with the arcade crowd. Funnily enough, Stephen Hood, now known for his work on games such as Le Mans Ultimate, had talked about walking that tight line between sim and arcade as early as 2001.
I just looked at all the projects on the PC, like Jeff Crammond's GP series and Ubisoft game and so on, and looked at the console games, and there was a distinct difference between all those projects, and the console games were very arcadey, PC was really sim-based, and I wanted to really kind of merge those projects and take the best elements from both sides of the fence.
If you're looking for a fun, nostalgic simcade experience with some mid-2000s flair, F105 and F106 are your way to go. Especially F105 if you don't feel like dealing with any AI bullshit or turning off damage entirely. 2001 can be fun, if a little bizarre from time to time. All in all, they're a fun time capsule into an era where F1 games, for the most part, didn't matter as much as you might think. They sold well enough, they were heavily promoted on European television, but they didn't have the global appeal that they do have now or happen to be at the forefront of the genre. Formula One was going through a strange adolescence as well, with Schumacher reigning supreme as the king of motorsport. Ratings would dip, rule changes would be introduced, and the sport would lose itself in political wrangling from time to time. So maybe, just maybe, it's not too surprising to see a period of games that were fine, if not a bit underwhelming or uninspired, only to somewhat blossom right before the checkered flag. Their model of yearly releases would be taken over by Codemasters and provided the basis for what was to come, a Simcade series juggling between two extremes of players often lacking a bit of magic to truly shine outside its own bubble. But what do you think? Would you have liked to see more F1 games from within the Sony empire?
Yes.
Let us know in the comments below. Until then, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, you can help us out by subscribing to Overtake. And until next time, keep racing. Bye.
Bye-bye. Sacrilege. Sacrilege. Right, let's go back to the messages. He liked F105 and F106 though. This is disgraceful. Yeah, wouldn't take much to implement a bit of commentary, surely. Yeah, I know. I don't see what the problem is. If like they do all those commentary lines, so why don't they do one somewhere they're speaking during the races? He hasn't got a clue. F105 all seasons. Oh, it's a test driver role. Yes. DJM99 says, I managed to get gold and got the track. No way could I do it now. Well done, sir. I could never do it. I could never do it. No. Never do it. Jesus, this guy sounds far too nasal and high-pitched. James Hunt, and all I can say to that is bullshit. What a load of cack that was. I agree. I agree. What a load of cack. Yes. Everyone knows the Sony games. You know, they were of their time, weren't they? They weren't perfect, but Jesus, if you compare them... Let me take my headphones out. If you compare them to what we've got now, they were masterpieces, weren't they? Obviously, the masterpieces, F197, in my opinion. A lot of people don't agree with that nowadays. And I can see where they're coming from, because the AI are very simple. Very simple. But just the atmosphere of F197, that's never going to be beaten. Never going to be beaten. But there you go. Right. What am I doing to finish off? Dee, dee, dee. Right, F1 news. F1 news. What have we got? We've got Planet F1, which unfortunately is not a reliable source of information for your F1 news, but huge change at Ferrari with potential replacement named. Yeah. We'll look at it, but don't take it with a pinch of salt. Because they are a clickbaity website, let's put it that way. Major Ferrari development with team boss Vasseur under scrutiny to save job. We will see. We will see. Yeah, as I say, they're not a reliable source of information. So Colapinto's future is in doubt again. Jesus Christ, what's he done? 4 races? 4 races? Oh my God. Isaac Hazur. So anyway, it is of course the Canadian Grand Prix this weekend. In Canada, oh Canada. Oh how we love you so. A blatant DTS 2020 fan. Oh yes. Yes, that show has caused more problems for Formula One than anything else, I do believe. Yes. Anyway, who's excited for the F1 movie on the 25th of June? 27th of June, something like that anyway. Oh. Was it Natalie Pinkham or was it thingy? Because I thought it was what's her name? Lee Mackenzie. But Natalie Pinkham posted about it on a thingy, yes. Let me see if I can find. Yes, Natalie Pinkham reported about it. I don't know whether she's had online abuse as well, but this was, I saw this last week. This is actually Lee Mackenzie. And this is what she said. I've been thinking about whether I should post this, but I will, as it's not just about me. It's for all women and men too. Last month, I went to hospital for an operation. I'm just reading this out in case you can't read the text because it is quite small. Last month, I went into hospital for an operation and I've been struggling with some health issues for a while now. As you can see on here, I'm a private person and I post about my work, not too much about life outside of work. I don't need or want attention or validation. But the comments about my appearance and weight at the Spanish Grand Prix have been horrific. I've had to turn off comments on my social media. It's worth saying they came from women and men alike. If you don't like what someone wears or looks like on television, feel free to think about it. But why send it to them? Why contact someone to be deliberately rude? I'm a journalist and I'm good at my job. And I'm furious that this affects me. But it does, and there will be people out there getting similar abuse that are not as strong as me. Don't do it. The good news is that a larger operation that I thought I was going to get isn't needed at the moment. And things can be treated with medication. Many people have this. It's not about being unwell. It's about the vile comments from women and men commentating on my appearance. My health is improving and I'm back at the gym. For me, not for anyone else. Think before you write to someone. So there you go, Lee Mackenzie. Online abuse about her appearance. And apparently weight as well, but obviously she just said there she's currently suffering some health issues. And health issues do affect people, especially, you know, to do with weight and stuff like that. So I can understand. Yeah, he waxed over the last EA game, guys. Obviously not a proper F1. No. Has she? F1 movie comes out on mine's and Josh's birthday. Fantastic. Lee Mackenzie for sure. Lee Mackenzie. What's all this about then? She's lovely. The incels have been out in full force. What? Nothing wrong with her appearance. She's beautiful. Honestly, I know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Ridiculous. I'll tell you, it's the same old story, unfortunately. Once a woman gets past 40, it's like, oh, well, she's past it, mate. She's past it. Everybody ages. Everybody ages. I mean, look at me. Jesus. Everybody ages. It's a fact of life. Yes, it is. The only objection I've got in regards to women is when they go down the plastic surgery route and they start to look nothing like their original appearance. I say no. Grow old gracefully. That's what I say. And thankfully there are a lot of women out there that haven't gone down that surgery route and they look absolutely fine. So, you know, there are a lot of things, but it's just the few that decide that, oh, I'm getting old, I've got to have surgery, and they end up with their face done and they just don't look anything like what they used to. They look like a robot. Look like Megan the robot. It's just, yeah, please don't. Just grow old gracefully, because it happens to everyone. Everyone grows old, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. It really isn't. They always are. Mind you, I do question what Danica Patrick is wearing, but do you take the time to tell her that? True, very true. Get R. Kelly, oops, on this all season's rubbish. And P. Diddy as well, yes. We'll get them all on. We'll get them all on. We'll get them all on. I wouldn't wear what she wears, but no, it's her choice. There you go. There you go. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's just online, isn't it? Unfortunately, everyone is subjected to abuse at times. Even I know that. It just happens. Unfortunately, it just happens. It just looks like at that point Lee Mackenzie was on the radar of all the trolls. Get Rolf Harris on. Get Rolf Harris on. You know, the most disappointing thing for me is anyone in the UK who remembers Animal Hospital. I was there every Sunday, like millions and millions of people. Millions of people. Crying me eyes out when, after a very long process, the vet said, I'm sorry, there's nothing more that we can do, and we're going to have to put down your dog, your cat, your cockatoo, your parrot, whatever. And I was there with Rolf, crying me eyes out. And then we find out, like so many other people, he certainly wasn't what we thought he was. Such a shame. Such a shame. But there you go. as I've said before, you don't really know people. You really don't know people. I've admitted it myself in the past. I was a TRL Limitless super fan. Really was. Oh my god, I was always sending him messages regularly. But I didn't know. Nobody knew. And now, of course, we all know, and he's not the person that we thought he was. But as I say, at the time, you just don't know about people. That's why I've always said in the past as well. I've said, don't ever trust anyone on the internet. If you like someone, follow them, and yeah, that's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. But you should never. I see these youngsters being devoted to these people on the internet, and I'm like, no, please, just don't. Just don't. Just don't get obsessed over them, because you never know behind the scenes. They sit there in front of a camera for a couple of hours, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. You really don't. So yeah, such a shame. Tomorrow night, Top of the Pops on BBC4 has now entered 1998, which means expect to hear Bewitched, Steps, and the Venga Boys. The Venga Boys. Oh my god. Exactly, Dave. Animal Hospital was great, and Rolf was brilliant. Yes, he was. He was absolutely brilliant. And everyone going on about Trude, the Norwegian vet, sticking her finger up the pet's arse. Yes, I remember that. My Aussie rallies knew of his dodginess for years, so can only assume he had protection. Yeah. Limitless enters the chat. But I mean, let's face it, Rolf Harris, he fooled the Queen, and the Queen was nobody's fault. I mean, because she commissioned those portraits, didn't she, back in the day, with Rolf Harris was doing. She would never have done that if there was any question of dodgy behaviour. Never have done that. So, and back when he was doing that, there was not a sniff of anything going on. So yeah, just very, very weird. But yeah, it looks like, just like Jimmy Savile, there was a lot of protection going on there. A lot of protection behind the scenes. I just feel sorry for what's his name, Johnny Rotten. He knew all about Jimmy Savile all the way back in the 60s and 70s. He even in an interview said he knew there was lots of nastiness going on there, but nothing was ever done. And he was basically outcast. Well, he wasn't allowed on the BBC anyway, was he? But he was basically outcast because of stuff like that he said. And yet, it was all true. It was all true. Stuart Hall as well, which, yes. You see, again, this is what upsets me the most. This was my whole sort of childhood going into young adultness. That was my whole thing. It was Top of the Pops. It was, It's a Knockout. And then obviously later on we had Rolf Harris with Animal Hospital. But even before that, Rolf Harris was, he was a singer doing those songs, and I used to love some of those songs. If you think you catch me, if you think I'd leave you died on when there's room on my horse for two, and the didgeridoo song and all that lot. He came out of all that, and it was just great. But all my childhood now, it's just tainted by that. I mean, Radio 1 with the road shows, apparently there was lots of nastiness going on there as well. That'll probably never come out. But, there you go. All the Radio 1 DJs, most of them have been outed as being predatory, haven't they, really? I mean, a few have got away with it, and deservedly so, because I don't think there was any sort of, nastiness about them. But I think pretty much over half of the people who worked at Radio 1 in the male department have been discovered to be you know, of predatory behaviours. So it's just, yeah, it's just very, very weird. This was all going on during the 70s and the 80s. Yeah, 70s and the 80s, really. It's just very, very weird. A great show, forever tainted by the person hosting it. Oh yeah, it's a knockout. It was just, oh my god, I'd be in stitches watching them falling over with those big suits on. Remember that? They always had to wear the big like sumo wrestler suits, didn't they? Yes. Oh wowzers. See if I can find a quick clip without Stuart Hall in it. Okay, let's run this one. I apologise in advance. His voice may be on the soundtrack. There's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing I can do about that. But we're not interested in him. Just the memories of It's a Knockout. Here we go. 1977. Now, I'd have been, Jesus, 8 years old when this was on. 8 years old.
Turn your ideas into video.
Ah, straight away we go. Bloody advert. Ah, thank you, YouTube. Bear with me, everyone. Bear with me. Here we go. It's a knockout. Actually, Stuart Hall might not be on this. We will see. Here we go. I remember with the big chefs. Oh my god, this is classic. This was.
Back, and it's the first team to arrive with their Christmas pudding on the table, and this is something the crowd are loving. I will start to identify Great Britain in the lead at the moment on the right wing, and then it is getting it through
Throwing Christmas puddings. I don't think that is Stuart Hall. It doesn't sound like him.
very nicely. Eric Davis, 30 years of age, 1977, third all over British freestyle ski champion. So he's going to be the Christmas pudding champion if he gets the full marks on this one. Switzerland on the left-hand side, but going in Italy, ready on the turn. But Belgium and Netherlands, and she's down at the big lass. So he comes. See, shook a muscle there. So just. And Netherlands can hardly get up. He does. He gets up very well. But Great Britain steaming in on the right wing. There's a chase. If he falls, he could be in trouble because the Italians are going mad. They're singing at him. They're shouting at him. He's got his nose stuck in the Christmas pudding. But it's going to be a neat thing. But I think it's going to be Harvey Morton going wild in the stands with this Christmas pudding effort.
There you go. It's a knockout. 1977. Oh my god. Oh my god. You kids won't remember that, but that was our Saturday. Was it Saturday evening? I think it was Saturday evening. That was our Saturday evening entertainment. Yes, watching people with big costumes on running up and down ice rinks. That was just brilliant. But saying that, I remember him doing Ninja Warrior, and he used to perv over the female contestants. Yeah, Yeah. Yes, I saw the Johnny Rotten video with Piers Morgan, I think. What a great character. Oh, Johnny Rotten is absolutely mint. Absolutely mint. He's just looked after his wife, and I think she's just passed away now, and she had Alzheimer's. You know, that takes a lot of doing. That takes a lot of doing. It really does. It really does. But Johnny Rotten, absolutely mint. I'll tell you, so misunderstood as well. So misunderstood. You know, he came out with all this anarchy when he started his career, obviously with the Sex Pistols, and that was fair enough. But you know, that was a persona that he was projecting. That was a persona. That wasn't the real Johnny Rotten. And it wasn't until years later that we got to know the real Johnny Rotten. And of course, he did the Celebrity, didn't he, in the Jungle and what have you. And you know, and when you saw the real Johnny Rotten, you actually saw that he was just a completely 100% down-to-earth guy, salt of the earth, would help anyone who needed it. And it's just, you know, such against the type that even myself, I had this perception of Johnny Rotten that was, you know, he was a complete arsehat and what have you. But he just completely, you know, turned that around and revealed the personality that was obviously there from the start, but you know, it's just unfortunately hidden by, you know, his sort of ways that he was back then with his anarchy and what have you. It's just, yeah, salt of the earth, Johnny Rotten, salt of the earth. That's all I can say. That's all I can say. Timey Kangaroo Down Sport takes on a whole new Yes, it surely does. It surely does. Oh my God. Yeah. It surely does. Planet Place says Dave Lee Travis, he's still on the radio, he's on a station with Mike Reid. Is he really? Is he well, didn't he not actually get done for anything? Is that he was suspected, wasn't he? But he was cleared. I think I can't remember how it all, that Operation U Tree, I can't remember how it all panned out, but I'm pretty sure he wasn't actually charged with anything, was he? So obviously that's why he's still around. The Queen used to protect Prince Andrew of his crimes, so she wouldn't have been fazed by Rolf's dodginess. Yeah, true. All I'm saying is I don't think that she knew there was anything wrong with Rolf when he was doing her portraits. I mean, I seem to remember it was quite a way back when he did those portraits. I think it was like the 90s, and I don't think that she knew that there was anything dodgy going on, because it only really came out, hasn't it, with Rolf in the last 10 years. I mean, because I say before that, he was on television doing Animal Hospital and stuff like that, so it's only really been recently. So I don't think the Queen knew back then that there was anything dodgy going on. Yeah, possibly she could have been protecting him, but you know, he wasn't like a member of the family, so why would she, to be honest? So yeah, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, with family members, you do protect them as much as you can, don't you? Even if they're as dodgy as Prince Andrew, unfortunately, you just feel it's your duty to protect, you know, your own family, don't you? Even if you really shouldn't, you just do. It's unfortunate, but I say with Rolf, it's just someone painting a portrait. I don't think, you know, as I say, I'm pretty sure there was no dodginess that even they knew about. So at that time, anyway. Steve Wright was one of the good ones. Granted, everyone got sick of him by the end of Steve Wright in the afternoon, but millions. Oh yes, Steve Wright. He was one of my favourites. I was every day at work, I used to have Steve Wright on, and I followed him from like Steve Wright in the mornings, and then he went to Steve Wright in the afternoons. You know, it was just, yeah, he was one of the good ones. He was one of the good. It was so sad that I read that he just didn't look after himself in the end. You know, he was told multiple times from doctors that he needed to do this kind of thing, you know, to cut down on stuff and what, but he just ignored them. So that's a bit sad. It's a bit sad. I always say with doctors, you listen to their advice and then you make your own mind up. You know. But if you're constantly being told by doctors that you really shouldn't be doing what you're doing, or you should be, you know, losing weight or stopping smoking, then, you know, there really comes a time when you should take that advice. But if a doctor's telling you something that really isn't that serious, then you should take it on board and think about, you know, what he's saying, and then decide whether, you know, you want to or not. Two Little Boys, what a song. His biography was such a lovely read. Then we were hit with his offences. Yep. Two little boys. Congratulations to George Russell on scamming a winning calendar. He loved those two boys quite a lot, as it turned out, DJ. Yes. I can't remember all the sordidness. Wasn't it his own kid or whatever? Was it? I'm not gonna look it up. I don't really want to know, but I just seem to remember it was his own, not his own kid, but his granddaughter. I don't know. That's too bad to look into. But yeah, he was scamming it by saying the dirty air from Alonso and Verstappen led him to crash, and a McLaren strategic bottle job. Also, Mike Smith as well, of course. Top of the Pot fans criticised him because he didn't allow the BBC to repeat his episodes. Indeed. Eddie Waring, says DJ99. Thank you, student. That was Eddie Waring, was it? Yeah. But he was good. He wasn't happy when the news showed a clip of him hosting Top of the Pots with JS after all that happened. Yeah. Ever seen that comedy clip of the policeman going through a problematic time cap? Yes. Oh, that's classic. He was found guilty on a retrial. He just happened to be right about an even worse person. Here's another one who didn't show on Top of the Pops anymore. The day before he was arrested, they rescheduled an episode that was supposed to have him on the hosting. Correction, the day before that episode aired, he got arrested and the episode was rescheduled. Well, not rescheduled, but they pulled it. Oh, yes. Okay, it's almost time for me to go, everyone. So we will end on that, if I can find it, on that time capsule, because it's very funny but quite tragic at the same time. Oh, here it is. Right, so we will end on this because it's funny in a tragic, ironic way. But here it is. If no one's seen it, it is the Chief of Police opens a time capsule. I'm just going to put the headphones on. It's only on for a minute and a bit. But yeah, it sort of sums up the whole of the 70s, the 80s, and the BBC all in 1 minute and a half video. It really does. Here it is, the time capsule. Pretty much comedy gold there, but not in a good way. There you go. There you go. Anyway, thanks so much for watching tonight. You have been awesome as always, all you lovely people out there. Of course, Canadian Grand Prix this weekend. It looks like it was possible. Oh, my Viagra time has gone off. It looks like it's going to be another McLaren 1-2. They look pretty dominant as well. We will see. But more important than that, what's going to happen with Lulu? Is he finally going to be okay in the race? Or is he once again going to be overtaken by a Sauber and go, it's not me, it's the car? He's going to be saying that all season now, I guarantee. It's going to be mechanical problems, gremlins, the tyres aren't warm enough, oh, the engine's too cold. Anything you can think of, really, but there you go. Anyway, standing in the garage OG stream. Anyway, thanks so much for everyone for joining me tonight. Thanks to Mr. Mugawa, thanks to Blind and Plessy, thanks to Paddock69. I know what you did there. Thanks to DJM99. Thanks to Helium Trophy as well. And who else did we have tonight? Oh yes, Champ92. Thank you, sir, for joining me as well. He was in there earlier, and I think that was everyone. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. So thank you, everyone. You have been awesome as always. We've got the video on Sunday. We got the Grand Prix on Sunday. See, I'm obsessed with videos. It's ingrained in my head now. We've got the Grand Prix on Sunday, so enjoy that. Canada's always a good race. I always enjoy Canada. It should be a Bobby Dazzler. Hopefully we'll get someone crash into Champions Wall, because we expect that now, don't we? Every single year we want someone to crash into Champions Wall, and I'm sure they will. I'm sure they will. The greatest final chicane possibly in history of Formula One is that Champions Wall, and I'm sure someone will crash into it. I'm gonna say Liam Lawson. He's my pick for crashing into Champions Wall. Liam Lawson. Anyway, there you go. You've been awesome as always. Thank you for me. And let's grab him. Let's grab him. Mr. T.B. the Bear. Yes, everyone's favourite bear. And I will catch you on the flip side. Thanks, everyone, and good night.